setting up a web server so you can start doing programming languages like PHP, MySQL. This is pretty much how to do it as fast as it can possibly be done, and still customizing it so you can save your work on a different drive than Windows, so when Windows dies, or whatever operating system you're using, of course your work is safe because it's on a different drive in case you had to format, which is what I do. Anyway, so this video is going to show you how to install XAMPP, which includes Apache, PHP, MySQL, and even an FTP server. Not that I use it, but so essentially I'm going to show you guys how to, the basics, just getting stuff to work and getting on your way so that you can learn PHP or use Perl or whatever development, whatever server-side language you'd prefer to use. I use PHP with MySQL, and I'm running Windows XP here. So basically, what you want to start off doing is you want to do a search on Google. I'm going to show you. You want to install XAMPP. So you do a search for XAMPP. Okay, you'll probably be able to see it. I use XAMPP for Windows. Okay, that's how you spell XAMPP, or you just look at the video title. Go ahead and download it. You can, there's a download link right here. So I go XAMPP, and they got the installer, 34 megs. And once you install it, it takes maybe a couple minutes even on a fast machine, but it is worth it. Anyway, so once you have it installed, we're going to go to the XAMPP folder. Okay, so here's where I have XAMPP installed. That's C drive media / internet / XAMPP. This doesn't matter where you install it. Okay, we need to change. When you first go to a website, you're going to go to an index file, which is the very first file that you go to a website. Like YouTube.com, like jabcreations.com is really jabcreations.com/index.php. So when you run a website on your computer, you're going to be saving it to a directory, a folder somewhere on your computer. This part, it shows you how to change that. And that's really the only thing you have to change in XAMPP. This is also the same place where you would change where your CGI bin is if you didn't want to use that. By default, they have it in the Apache folder, but I don't like having my work on the same hard drive as Windows. But all my programs are on the same hard drive as Windows, so because I love my torrents. So anyway, we're going to go into the Apache folder, and then we're going to go to config, and we're going to open up httpd.conf. Okay. Now all we're going to do is going to do a Control F, and we're going to look for htdocs or htdocs folder. Okay. Now here, I already have it commented out. And comments mean it's not executed with a £. I have this copied here, and then I have my directory instead below, and it's not commented, so it executes that instead. You have to. This is defined twice in the file, so I'm going to hit F3 again, and it's going to find the file again, and it's going to be slightly different. And all you do, you copy the line, you comment out the original with a £, and you change the directory to where you want it to be on your folder. If you don't know how to do that on Windows, and you still got a little ways to go. Not that I think anyone who's a Perl expert is going to need to know this, but if, for example, you start messing around with Perl, you would want to look for, do Control F, CGI-bin, and when you search for that, eventually you're going to find out where to change the path for your CGI Perl directory that executes. Okay. Anyway, so now that you got a web server running, how do you access your web server? I mean, it's there, right? Well, it's called localhost. This is my home page. Okay, this is where all the links to all my projects and all my statistics and all my control panels and people that I've furled through to death and just everything. Okay, I don't have a Google homepage. I don't have the weather. I have my work. Okay, and so my custom homepage, no matter what you're going to do, it's going to be localhost. http://localhost, localhost. So let's I have a little file here. And it's just some code. This is pretty simple here. You don't have to worry about white space. You see all the spaces I just made? That's called white space. Okay. And this file is pretty simple. All right. All I'm doing here is I saved this file as himom.php. And I saved that in my folder here as himom.php. So we go here and there's a whole bunch of files, but I saved it there. Okay. So I went to localhost/himom. Really simple. So here's what I get. Hello world and hi mom. Okay. This is the code. This is pretty simple. If you just want to echo out what's called a string of text, and HTML is technically just plain text to PHP, it doesn't know what it is, so it'll just spit it out. So you would see hello world, and of course the browser would see that, and you can see in the background there it creates a break line. So if you don't know HTML, you should at least know that much. Okay. Bob is a variable because it has a $sign of it, and Bob holds a string of information. This string isn't held, it's just, that's it. That string's there, and that's the only time you can use it. Bob, however, you can call Bob multiple times in the file, and Bob equals hi mom. So if you want to echo, as in have it spit out to the browser, you would just echo out Bob. Now let's say you want to include a menu, the same menu on 100 pages. Okay, all you do is you include the file, and you'll get it once you see it. But I'm not just some stuff that you can try out to mess around with PHP. I've got some standalone examples on my weblog at jabcreations.com that you can pretty much copy and paste and tinker with the code. I think if you just use the classic theme, right now the code is highlighted in blue, so it's really hard to miss. You could just literally just copy the whole code, set of code, paste it in there, and it'll work. That's, and you can read the tutorials I have on there that I write about every now and then. So that's how to set up a weblog, change the directory, and have it do something. Also, how do you access it? Well, it's pretty simple. All you got to do is get the IP of your computer. Now, I'm on a router, so my IP is basically right now it's 192.168.1.101. Okay? You should at least know how to get your IP address. You go Start Settings, Network Connections, and you find out what is your active internet connection. That would be this one right here, usually localhost. If you get a window that doesn't show you the status, that's not it. If you get a window that shows you status, then you click on Support, and you get the IP address. There it is, IP address 192.168.1.101. It closes out. I'm going to go to the browser, and if I go to that IP address, well, I already did this. Go to Google, then we're going to go to the IP address, and there's the IP address. Oh, look, there's the home page. And of course, anything that you put there as the index.php file or .html will show up there instead. Because of course, XAMPP's not going to pre-install my own personal homepage. Ooh la la. Anyway, so you can also, one last thing I'm going to show you guys how to do is you can access your homepage potentially, depending on which ISP you have, meaning Comcast or whoever you connect to the internet with, by taking your modem's IP address, because right now this is the IP address my computer has from the router. You may or may not have a router. So you basically you could get the IP address of your computer by going into the router, or you can go to a website like whatismyipaddress.com, or just go to your search engine like Yahoo, Google, or Windows Live, and type in the question, what is my IP address? Plug it in. If you can pull up this page on your local IP, you might be able to pull it up on your modem's IP. And keep in mind that they're not necessarily the same thing. And you might have to unblock it on the router, meaning the port number. Apache runs on port 80. A quick thing, I'm not going to go through the tutorial because I only have 10 minutes here, is if you start Apache and it doesn't start, and you, by the way, you do want to install MySQL and Apache as services. If you start the Apache service and it doesn't run, and you click start and it runs, it stops, click start, it runs, it stops, and it keeps doing that, you're already running a web server on port 80, and you have to change that. So I'm not going to cover that in this one. So you just have to, usually it's IIS if you're on Windows. So just find out how to change the port number for ISS on that. Anyway, we're close to 11 minutes, so you plug in your IP address. So if your IP address is like, 99.1.2.3.4 or whatever, you plug it into your browser. Some ISPs will work, some won't. Verizon Fios didn't work for me, Comcast does. It's going to be a little slow, so anyway, I got to cut there. Thanks for watching. I'll try to get some more videos soon.